Hello and welcome to episode 5 of yet another podcast about Spurs. You join us in November 2025, fresh off the most unpleasant of North London derbies, as our Tottenham turkeys took a stuffing at the hands of the dreaded Gooners. It's fair to say that we've been left feeling rather mashed after a month that's been anything but gravy. Still, we'll carve out some time to chew over the juiciest talking points, and even if this season is starting to feel pretty half-baked, we'll serve up plenty of hot takes to keep the Spurs fandom from going cold. So grab a seat at the table, dear listener, because we're full of beans and we're ready to dish out the drama. My name is Owen, the main man at the FranksGiving dinner, and joining me at the table of chat, we have my fellow yappers. Doug, how you doing?
Oh, and you're on a roll. I'm doing great.
Peter, how are you?
I'm much better after that intro.
And Stu, how are you?
Yeah, that intro raised my spirits. That was brilliant.
I think we
More of
all
the
needed
same,
it.
more of the same.
I think we all needed it after the last month of football that we will get straight into. I'll run through the results. So since last record, we crashed out of the League Cup away at Newcastle 2-0. We lost 1-0 at home to Chelsea in the Premier League. We defeated Copenhagen at home in the Champions League. 2-2 draw with Man United at home, also in the Premier League. And as mentioned in the intro, a very disappointing 4-1 defeat away at Arsenal in the Premier League. How are we feeling? Who wants to kick off the dissection of those batch of results?
How negative am I allowed to get this early on
As
in this
negative
episode?
as you want. This is going to be cathartic. Let's go.
Okay. I'm only upset because, well, there are many reasons to be upset with Spurs at the moment, but I'm even more upset because I made the trek to London to watch us get absolutely turned over by Chelsea. Copenhagen, while it was fun and Mickey's Sunny-esque run and goal was a thing to behold in person, but we it- and then I watched us draw with United. I think my point is that um, we have played like absolute dog shit all month. I could argue that we've played like dog shit for longer than that. But it's just been sort of crystallized in the last few fixtures, right? Like, I don't think there's any way to sort of get around the fact that we still continue to play the same way that we have since the beginning of the season. It doesn't really matter if Frank changes up the formation. We're still playing this weird sort of side to side horseshoe. And it's not very enjoyable to watch, even in person. It's actually even worse to watch it in person. At least on TV, you get the distraction of some close up of whoever the hell the director says, "Hey, camera guy B, point the camera at this guy," whatever. Um, it's not been fun. And to be quite honest, I've been sort of emotionally detached from Spurs this season. I think, or at least at the very least, have kept them at arm's length intentionally after the last 2 years. And I'm glad I have because I think I would probably be more depressed than I am. I don't know
It's
if
a
that
kind of
was
that
that negative, but
it's kind of
how I
that feeling.
feel.
If I didn't feel depressed about it, I wouldn't feel anything at all. It's do you want to
Yeah.
be unhappy with the results or do you just want to be completely numb? Frankly, I'm kind of at the completely numb stage. I'm just so unimpressed with the fare that's been put on for us. It's like going to a banquet and being given gruel. That's Tottenham right now.
Yeah, I think that's a bad bunch of results because the Copenhagen game, they are they're not a great side. Yeah, they're champions of their league. They're in the Champions League for a reason, but they are realistically like a mid to lower table championship side. And when you look, last time we played one of those, maybe I don't know, Coventry last season. I know that they're a pretty good championship side. We beat them with the reserves out effectively. Um, yeah, I don't think that's as good a. I think that's a flattering result. 2-2 with United as well. The other game there that's not a defeat. Beaten four
Should have
times.
won that though.
We beat
Should have won that.
we we should have done. We should have done.
Hmm.
But regardless, we beat them four times last season. Are we are we going backwards? Are they going forwards? I would say they've gone forward somewhat, but as of record, they have just lost to 10-man Everton. They're not a great side. Yeah, I feel like we've gone backwards from last season, league placing aside, and we'll come to mention of last season's league placing later on. But I don't know, just the
Can I?
performances awful. Go for it, Pete.
I just wanted to add one thing. I've thought about this the last couple days. The way that Frank sets us up and the way that we've been playing is pretty cowardly. I think it's pretty toothless. Um, there's absolutely no sort of there doesn't seem to be some semblance of how we're going to attack other than sort of sitting deep. Or, I don't know. Are we supposed to now be a counter-attacking team again? If so, like we're not even doing that very well. So it's just weak. It's cowardly. It's toothless, and I really don't enjoy watching it every 3 days because it looks like garbage. Shout out Reno Wallabout.
If we're going to be in a counter-attacking side, then you actually need to counter-attack with some pace. If you don't just get the ball, wait for them to get set, and then go, hey, maybe we try this attacking thing now. Because apparently Thomas Frank is telling our players not to shoot from distance. I mean, the only good thing about that result against Arsenal was one shot from distance. That was it. One shot from distance, which probably went against the rules. It just reminds me of Jacques Santini, with his whistle and fullback's not supposed to go over the halfway line, and you got to make the most of every opportunity by basically walking the ball into the net. That was bad. I mean, we're going to come away from this month having lost most of our games because I don't hold. We're recording this before PSG. I don't hold a lot of hope for PSG. My hopes for Fulham are not particularly high as well. And we're going to come away from it going, oh, but in that Newcastle game, there were green shoots of recovery. Really? Was there? I mean,
Went out of the cup. Tune it like no, no, I'm not having that. And I just want to pick up on something there, Stu, in regards to Jacques Santini. This feels familiar, and I know Santini, lasted a very very short amount of time as manager, but he came in with a big reputation, a positive reputation for being a solid professional football manager. It didn't fit. It didn't work. We got rid of him before the Rock could really set in. And I think that might be apt for when we come on to have some of the other conversations later. Doug, I want to bring you in. What's your view?
Yeah, I mean, I remember having that thought at Newcastle that maybe there's something here. And it just feels like a different reality. It feels like a life away. And to your point about going backwards, yeah, absolutely. It feels like this season is a huge step backwards. Uh, it's also just so different. Like it's not. I don't know, it's not like, sacrifice yourself now and this will be painful, but there's this bright future ahead of us where we're going to be playing free-flowing attacking football. Everyone's going to be back from injury and things are going to be fine. Like you watch this and you're like, what's the end state of this? What's the best version of this brand of football? And I don't know what that looks like.
You're looking
Like
at it now.
it's well, like unless you're gonna go, like that all like, well, look at like Arteta started and how terrible Arsenal were, and there was that all those stretches of just like zero goals, zero anything, and basically the answer was they just had to slowly get all the best players in the world and just build up a massive defense and set pieces and et cetera, and then they still fucked it up a whole bunch of times. But like if the answer is like just let's just slowly wait build up the best players possible, and then in like 3 or 4 years, maybe we'll finish second. Like, I don't know. I think that's yeah, it doesn't feel like we're building towards something unless you start to say like, all right, well, you take this player out, you place him with this. You take this player out, you place him with this. Like, oh, once we have this different striker, once we have, once Odegaard is 5 years older, I don't know. That's
I think any football club can do that and take
yeah,
that route. Look at Chelsea, like the churn of players. They are throwing shit at the wall until something sticks over and over again because they've got the attitude and the money to do that. I don't think we've got that as a football club. So I think we need to be smarter with our recruitment and smarter with our managerial choices in order to be able to succeed within the restraints we put on ourselves as a football club, and by we I mean the board of the club. Um, yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
yeah. I think that these results have felt like they're much worse than the level of quality in our squad. And I think to me, that's the mental math we're all doing is with Frank is like, is he getting the best out of these players? Do we just have shit players right now? Like, I still believe we have this mental, emotional hangover from Sonny and Kane. Like, we literally had two of the top five statistical finishers of the last decade, right? And that's absurd that we just, found one in Germany and found the other in our academy. So we're coming off of that, but then how good are we? And I think that maybe this is a segue to the Frank talking about finishing 17th last year. I feel like he's trying to say like, listen, this isn't like I took a fourth place squad and I turned them into a mid-table squad. I'm taking a work in progress that wasn't amazing and it's still a work in progress. I know that like specific comment is a whole other thing, but I do feel like that's the sort of question behind all of this. And I obviously think Frank deserves a lot of blame, but then I'm also wondering where else you lie that blame. Like, is it the recruitment? Is it this sort of hodgepodge of organizational changeover with, Paratici, with this person, with Lang, with, Levy's gone. Like, we're not like a stable place, right? We're not like a club that has had the same anything for the last 5 years. So, I think that Frank is at fault for a lot of stuff, but I also think we're in a really weird spot right now.
I think I understand the sort of argument that, the squad isn't built for whatever Thomas Frank wants, how he wants to play. But I think it's so like I feel like that's grasping at straws a little bit. And I'm not saying you're saying that, Doug, but it's just like you could argue that we have the overall quality and depth of this squad is better than last season, right? Yes, we lost Son, we've lost Madison and Kulusevski, but what I say to that is Madison and Kulusevski have been injured since last season. So like Frank can't point to them and go like, "Well, I don't have these players anymore." I'm like, "Bro, you never had them." So like figure something out. Also, you've lost Solanke since late August. So like what have you been doing for the last 3 months without him? Are you just literally just sitting on your hands and going like, "Well, I can't do anything because I don't have these players," right? We spent something like 130 million on attackers this summer. So why aren't we getting anything out of them, right? Why aren't we seeing Javi? Why aren't we seeing Kolomouani? I understand Kolomouani's had some freak injuries and this and that, but like, why didn't he start on against Arsenal? I don't understand. Um, it's just frustrating. It's like I say this in jest when I think like, oh, this is the final form of like Frank ball for us, but like how is it going to change at any point, right? We're not going to get Kulusevski back anytime soon, seemingly. And even if he came back next week, what do you realistically expect from him, right? And I think that's like the most frustrating part is people are like, well, he doesn't have all these players. I'm like, he never had these players. So like, why do you keep bringing this up? Like, it's pointless.
he never had them, and as you said, they
Yeah.
were replaced. All the injuries that happened last season happened during the course of the season, like in between transfer windows. So we
Hmm.
couldn't replace the players. The only player we actually could do that with, um, for the most part, was when like Vicario and Forster were injured at the same time. So we went out and got Kinski right away. That was kind of the only time that fell nicely for us. But they both got injured in pre-season. Well, Decky got injured last season. We knew they would be missing, and we replaced them. Brought in Kudus, and we brought in Xavi Simons and Rando Kolomuani on top of that. So you could argue he's the Solanke replacement because Solanke was hurt pre-season. It's not the same. It's a false equivalence in my mind.
The the thing that really bugs me is people, you know, we were sold this manager, he's more pragmatic. He will be able to deal with injuries when we get them. Because injuries are unavoidable, right? Every club suffers from injuries. Apparently, we suffer from it a lot more than everybody else. There's a graph going around something like how many days, how many games players have missed. And we're 30 games ahead of other clubs. The next club, we are 30 games ahead. Nice are the next. They've got something like 62 games missed across their entire squad. We're at 95. But we were sold this pragmatic manager who's got the ability to negotiate and change things around and be able to cope when these things happen. And he hasn't. There's, yeah, we've got our best defenders and our best goalkeeper fit. And what's happened? Our defense has got worse. Organisationally, our defense has got worse. The number of goals we're conceding per match has got worse. The number of points we gain per match has got worse. The number of goals we're scoring per match has got worse. And people pointed at Ange, and everybody knows I loved Ange. People point at Ange and go, "Oh, he was way too attacking and he couldn't find the right balance." He had a better defensive record than Frank does. So what does that say about Frank?
If you could just get Radu Dragusin back, we'll be okay. All the defensive problems will be
Training.
sorted. Yeah,
Well, all
exactly.
the center backs are now back as well. Takai, Dragishin, and Davies. Look, I'm not expecting miracles from the three of them, but let's just be realistic about it, right? Like, Ange didn't have, we didn't have her defense basically all of last season.
Archie, that means Archie Gray is a good 4 or 5 injuries away from having to play centre back.
Instead of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to go just round the table here and get all of our views on Thomas Frank really, really quickly because this is kind of the talk of the town at the moment. Should we sack him? Should we give him time? What does he need to do to avoid going before the end of the season? Doug, you're right in the middle of my screen now, so we'll start with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that managers are important, but they're not the most important thing. I think that I think that sacking a manager really quickly just sort of keeps us on this path of like just looking for like a quick fix, like a little like Band-Aid. And I don't think that that's what we need. I think that if Frank doesn't align with whatever the club's long-term vision of like the way they want to play, the type of players that need to fit in that system, like if those things aren't aligned, then, I would find the right time to find a good replacement and then do it whenever you've got it. But like, I don't see this performance in the league, this performance in the Champions League, getting knocked out of the League Cup to Newcastle as like fireable offenses, right? Like I think he's a competent manager that's clearly done a good job with other clubs, bring them up. And if there's just something right now that's not clicking, what has it been? 15 games in charge so far, something like that. I think if I've been in a job for 3 months, I'm still feeling like I'm brand new in some ways. So I think that I just as like a philosophical point around managers and how to treat them, I think give it a year, give it a longer amount of time. If something's really on fire, then let's talk about it. But like I don't know. I want to be like slow on the manager churn because I don't like how many managers we've churned through, but that's just me.
Stu, what do you think? What's your view?
My view is we really don't have any choice but to back the manager we've got. I mean, if we get rid of him, who do you bring in? I mean, everyone who I thought was a decent choice over the summer has been picked up by other clubs, apart from Xavi, and I've genuinely no idea how good Xavi would be outside of a massively financially bloated club. I mean, he was great at Al Sadd where they had money, and he was good at Barcelona where they had some very, very good players. But he's been out of a job since leaving Barcelona, coming up to what's going to be a second season out of a job. He doesn't seem in a massive rush to get back. He's got all the money in the world to sit on. And I genuinely don't know how good a manager he could be. And I wouldn't want to take that risk. So, you know, beyond going back to previous managers, and I know Owen's got this feeling about, a certain guy who's in America right now. Um, I just don't see it happening. I can see Thomas Frank staying in charge until the end of the season. I can see us, biting down on the bit and stomaching this dental procedure we're going through right now of the pain of having to live through the Thomas Frank era. I just hope it gets better.
And having two Chavis at the club might be a bit confusing.
Yeah, it might be.
Peter, what's your views on Tommy Frank?
Um, I don't think that he's the right fit for Spurs. I don't think he's a bad manager, but he's had 19, 20 if you count the Super Cup competitive games in charge of this club and the squad. Um, it doesn't feel as though he's actually as adaptable as we are led to believe, right? He changes formations, but the tactics still seem to be the same no matter what. Um, I think it would be another just stupid move to sack him middle of the season. I think we're going to have to just, like Stu said, and sit with it and deal with it for the season because what is the other option? There are, as far as I know, and as far as I can tell from what others have reported or podcasted about, there are no viable options to replace him. Um, but yeah, um, I don't think that his football, it doesn't appear as though it's able to scale up, right? I think 20 games is a pretty decent amount of games. And I get that because he's having to play every few days, there is no time on the training pitch to actually sort of try to implement something or anything of whatever. But at the same time, like, this is not a mid-table squad, right? We should be playing better than this. We should be creating chances given the amount of talent that is up front. Um, yeah, I just don't think he's the right manager for this club.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like we've gone down the barometer of opinions and we've hit the bottom at me. Um, I'm a firm believer that if you make the wrong decision about something, you should have the option to go back and rectify that. Now, being a British guy with strong ties to Europe, Brexit is one of the biggest acts of self-harm this nation has ever done. If I had a choice, I would rejoin the EU tomorrow. So we've probably lost some listeners there. Um, I would sack Thomas Frank tomorrow and rehire Ange Postecoglou, and there goes the other half of the listeners, because I honestly don't think we will find someone who is a better fit for the club than Ange. I think it's like chalk and cheese going from Ange to Frank, someone with all the heart, all the passion, who treated the club and talked about the club the way we should be talked about. to this sensible football manager who comes out and gives these rehearsed lines that he doesn't really mean. Yeah, I hate it. Um, Saying that, Ange wouldn't come back and the EU won't let us back in straight away. So both of those are off the table. I don't think there is realistically anyone we can replace him with at the moment. So I think I'd probably agree. We kind of reluctantly stick with him to the end of the season and see how he does and reassess then. But I have got a strong feeling, as Stu alluded to earlier, that if we have a disappointing season, like mid-table or lower, go out of the Champions League in like the punishment round, go out early in the FA Cup, I think the board will seek a quick PR win, and I think they'll look to Poch. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if Poch was the manager again going into next season. I'm not for one second saying that's right, but I've just got a gut feel it might happen.
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Here's a manager, and I'm curious if you would trade for him. Premier League proven, Premier League title winner. Stu, what do you think? Arne Slot, would you take him?
Arne Slot, yeah, I'd take Arne Slot. I think Liverpool having a struggle season, but I think that's down to Jota. I think that's just a hangover
Just
from
that.
that. When you said Premier League proven and you said winner, I was thinking, I thought you were going to say Eric Ten Hag. I was like, no.
Oh, I thought he was going to say Klopp.
I mean, like I think it's interesting to think about these things. Like you throw these names out and like, yeah, Liverpool's the same amount of points. How much, you mentioned how much we spent this summer. How much did Liverpool spend on
Mm.
attacking talent this year? And I mean, obviously, I feel like it was very easy to see their defense needed help and they didn't sign anyone, and that was really stupid with Konate, Virgil van Dijk, and like whoever their third center back was. But I
They
don't know.
sold him.
Yeah. Is the league just really noisy this year too? Like it's a really weird league with like everything that's going on right now. Like it's not free flowing, set pieces, long throw-ins. People are jumping all over the place. I just looked at the table again. Aston Villa was in like 18th for most of the season, and suddenly they're in fourth. Or yeah, like Crystal Palace, like Sunderland's up there. Meanwhile, like we're above Man United, Everton, Liverpool, Brentford, Newcastle. Like is is part of what we're talking about just the league being really strange, like, and maybe this is I'm above my and over my head, but like tactically, it just feels like this sort of stop start is just creating a lot more chaos. Like anyone, even a Sunderland, can sort of like pop up if they're on a hot streak right now. So part of what we're feeling is just what's going on with the league, and I'm sure that Frank is part of that. But like I don't know, outside of like Pep and City and maybe like Maresca at Chelsea. Is anyone playing like
But
amazing football? Go ahead.
well, no, but and that's where some of the arguments about the results being the important thing, I think, kind of start to fall apart a little bit because everyone's inconsistent, apart from Wolves, who are consistently bad. Ironically, not against us, but yeah, it's much more important, I feel, to look at the way we're playing and the quality we're playing, and to actually look at those stats. And I'm not a stats guy, but I think it's really telling to see some of those tables you look at where we're sitting towards the bottom of a lot of them, and that is categorically not a good sign. The league quite often takes a while to settle down, and I've often kind of not paid a lot of attention to the league table until Christmas, because so much can change. But yeah, I think those figures and those stats are really concerning because we're down there with like Burnley and Wolves.
and Aston Villa, surprisingly.
Mm.
I think there's two things. One, I sort of agree with um uh Owen, your earlier point about who to bring back. I would take Ange back in a heartbeat for this season just to see. It's not going to happen. Um, but I also think, Doug, your point about like what's going on with the league, and maybe it's because I just listened to my football podcast, but it does seem like that trend right now for this season is like to play for set pieces, long throws, all these sorts of things, right? Because that does seem like that's how everyone is playing, aside from Liverpool, who maybe just figured, actually, no, we don't need to sort of go with the trend. Um, and we're going to play the same football that we've been playing since last season under Slot, where they won the league. I think they just haven't adapted to it, and I think that may prove to be their downfall for this season in terms of, competing for the title. But I don't know. I guess I haven't watched Sunderland enough to actually know how they play football. But it's what, after 12 or 13 games, I'm like, they're sitting in the top 5 or 6, right? Like that seems out of the ordinary for a recently promoted team, right? And I guess my point is that if the kind of football that we're playing under Frank is meant to be sort of in vogue with what's happening in the league, why are we so bad at it? Is it literally because Frank doesn't believe that he doesn't have the right players to play his football? Like, I don't understand the argument, and I think there's been some discussion today, at least on Bluesky, around like, oh, all the people who said, oh, Frank's football will translate, or that his football will be better with Spurs because the caliber of players are better, right? Now that's sort of proving not to be the case, and everyone's saying, oh, well, he had better players at Brentford, which also like just breaks my brain. I don't understand how that is an argument and how the same person can say, oh, yeah, it'll definitely be better because we have better players. Oh, but now actually, no, I'm not even going to admit that I'm wrong. I'm just going to say that, oh, no, actually, he just doesn't have the right players. Like, that's just what? I think it's just a
Maybe the
lot of mental
players.
gymnastics to be that person online that is like, oh, but I'm right. I'm right about all of this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know shit.
What you said there actually triggered something in my mind. Maybe the players don't believe in it. Maybe the players don't believe in playing this way. And you'll often hear Frank, and I was listening literally just before record to the pre-PSG press conference, and he kept mentioning aggression. We've got to be more aggressive. We've got to be more committed. We've got to win the duels. And I tell you what, if players don't believe in the type of football they've been asked to play, they're not going to give you that extra percentage of aggression to win those duels. I think that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. I don't think these players are playing brave at all. And he keeps talking about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's nothing that I see on the pitch that is a result of anything that he says in a press conference, right? They don't line
It,
up. They don't match up at all.
it was really worrying to me that after the Arsenal game, the press match conference, he comes out and he says, we had a plan going into it, and our plan was to frustrate them and to press them really hard and to force them into little mistakes. And every so often we'll try and attack. And it's like none of that happened. None of that happened. It's like pressing was almost non-existent. Frustration, like the only people that frustrated was the Spurs fans on the side watching the game. And we had one chance, which we did manage to score from the halfway line, which was, I mean, I heard it described today as the best goal that will not count for anything ever. And you're like, absolutely right. That goal will, be a fantastic goal and it'll probably be on newsreels and stuff, top goals of the season. But what did it do for us? Nothing.
That's
That's the
the
I
Rabona.
mean,
Eric Lamella Rabona. It's
Yeah,
the exact
yeah.
same
it's that
thing.
all over again, isn't it? Yeah.
The thing that worries
Great,
me is he
great
really
goal, but
seems to
doesn't.
lack a plan. He seems to lack any kind of plan that people seem to buy into. And it just worries me because he has had this before. when he was at Brøndby, I don't know if you guys know this story. When he was at Brøndby, there was on one of the Brøndby forums, sorry, Brøndby, on one of their fan forums, somebody came out and started slagging him off. A guy called Oscar came out, slagged him off, saying he was failing to integrate new players and he was lacking authority. Right? Turned out Oscar was actually the club chairman, Jan Beck Anderson. His own chairman was going on under a pseudonym and slagging him off.
That's unreal.
It's kind of worrying because I can kind of see what he means now because we're not integrating our new players properly either. And he's definitely seems to be lacking authority.
He's
I
not
think
even playing the younger players or really rotating either.
mm, I agree with that. He's we're not seeing enough of Bergval. We're not seeing as much of Sarr as we'd like. And yeah, I think that's the key to getting the most out of this side. Stu, to your point about the way he says all these things after a game about what the plan was. There's three options there that is happening for that to translate to what we're seeing on the pitch. Either the players are not following his plan, the players are unable to execute on his plan, or Thomas Frank is talking a load of shit and that was never the plan. And he's saying what he thinks we want to hear.
I like
Chelsea
to.
game. What happened at the end of the Chelsea game? Right. Jed Spence, Mickey van der Ven walked off. He called out to them and they just completely blanked him. If you think this guy has the authority, if you think this guy has their respect, I think there's an issue. And I've really felt something more needed to be made of that. And I genuinely don't think he did himself any favours by bringing them straight back in. Jed Spence, I think, sat out the Copenhagen game or was on the bench. But, Van der Ven, straight into the team, no problems whatsoever. He should have been sat on the bench. He should have said, right, if you're not going to work for me, if you're going to actively work against me, you don't get to play in my team.
I think he's weak, just generally, from bottom to top to bottom. Like, I don't believe in anything that he says, right? Because he doesn't seem to back it up on the field. I don't think that it doesn't really seem like the players respect him that much, to be quite honest, right? Maybe I'm the only one that sees that or feels that way, but I think it's a great point, Stu. Like, how did at least one of your center backs who's on the leadership team completely just disregards you and blanks you and keeps walking? Um, that doesn't tell me you've got any control over the squad. And it just goes back to what he says in the press conferences, right? Before and after, he's saying, this is how we want to play. This is what we're going to do. And he says, well, we didn't do enough of this and we didn't do enough of that. I'm like, I didn't see any of that at any point, even in the first minute. So what are you? I don't know. I don't know and I don't know if anyone has seen anything around his sort of um, status within the club after the game against Arsenal. Has anyone been reporting on like, oh, the club is backing him or his time is up or anything like that?
Stu, go for it. There was something from Matt Law, wasn't there? I can't quite remember what it says. If you got it there.
I haven't got it, but it's pretty much burned into my memory. Matt Law says that Tottenham are prepared to give him time and they're backing him to make a success of it. But they want the criticism within the dressing room apparently is that he spends too much time focusing on the opposition and negating ways that the opposition can hurt them instead of focusing on how Tottenham can hurt the opposition. And my answer to that was, that sounds so much like Nuno, because that's exactly the same kind of criticism we had when Nuno was in charge.
That sounds like a briefing to me that
Yeah.
has come out from somewhere.
Well, we do have a very defensive manager, so it sort of tracks, right? Like,
If we're going to talk about press conferences and statements made, I will let you know now there's one thing that has really annoyed me. Start of the season, his first interview, he was asked about Ange Postecoglou and the results from last season, and he said, "I would never say anything to denigrate the previous manager. He managed to win this club a trophy, and he will forever be a legend." And then in the last two games, well, against Arsenal and against Chelsea, he's come out in the press conference, and he said, "Oh, you have to remember, this side was 17th last season." Like, I'm not surprised if players don't respect him and they don't trust him, because he has shown himself to not be consistent with his statements.
It's a pretty dickhead thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
No dickheads policy does not apply to the manager, apparently. Yeah, no, I just think it makes him seem like he's rattled, and he's going back on that. And I just would love someone to turn around to him and say, 17th, yeah, but big shiny trophy as well, Tommy. You know, you got to, if you're gonna walk the walk, you've got to talk. If you're gonna talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk and bring a trophy home with that as well.
Yeah.
So I think he's
He's
setting
never won
himself up.
anything, right?
No,
I just
no.
I don't know why he thinks bringing up us where we finished in the league last season does him any good, right? It really doesn't, because it's effectively the same squad minus Son, right? More or
Yeah,
less.
yeah. A squad
Um,
that beat his Brentford side twice last season as
right.
well.
And I don't know if he thinks that the fan base is going to just lap that up and go, "Oh yeah, no, he's totally right. We definitely finished 17th in the league and nothing else happened last season. So let's just trust him and trust the process." I mean, I have a feeling that, not to get ahead of ourselves, but we're going to get thumped by PSG tomorrow. And the kickoff against Fulham is an evening kickoff, right?
8 o'clock UK time. Yeah.
Bro, if we get thumped by PSG and people have been drinking all day on Saturday or Sunday or whenever the game is, and it goes even remotely sideways, which it probably will against Fulham at home, he's gonna fucking hear it, and it's not gonna be great. It's gonna be real bad. Probably, I would argue that it's probably gonna be worse than it was at any point last season.
Agreed. Agreed. The only saving grace you might have is I know they're struggling to sell tickets for that Fulham game because of the time of it. The only thing that
Shocker.
might save him is that there's not many people there, and the seats are filled with like general people going on general sale on their first Spurs game and stuff like that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It could get really ugly.
Yeah. As an aside, like as a season ticket holder, I haven't been able to sell a lot of my home to the games that I can't make at home this season. I think I've sold like two. So that's just another indication of like, I don't know. I think it's also a barometer of like how bad things are, because
Yeah, I heard
nobody
demand
wants to
is down
go.
a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know that midweek even if it's Champions League, but at the Copenhagen game, the East and West stands, the upper tiers were like barely empty, right? 20,000 people were not in their seat. Well, they didn't sell 20,000 tickets basically. Um, and we've been really shitty at home. So
Yeah, that Copenhagen game, I think they priced it wrong. Yeah, they made it a category B for a midweek game against pretty poor opposition.
yeah,
I think they've changed some of the categories for the Champions League games going forward. So hopefully we won't see that again, and they'll be a bit more sensible in what they're asking for the tickets.
that's a very good point, because the club, didn't they allow season ticket holders to buy additional tickets for home games against Fulham and then whatever the next one is as well?
It wasn't just season ticket holders; it was members.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, went on
members were
guest sale.
allowed to buy guest tickets as well. So yeah,
Oh boy.
they were really struggling to shift those two games. And Brentford is a 3 o'clock Saturday, and normally people want to go to those games.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
So I think I'm going to move us on for Thomas Frank now. try and lift the mood a little bit. And we're gonna ask a question that Doug would love to ask. Doug's meta question of the month. So Doug, if you'd like to ask us your question.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, I didn't realize Meta Question of the Month was going to be a public-facing title. I would have thought harder about that.
It's done now.
It's already out. I think I have this. Okay, so back to my like managers are mostly fake and they do a little bit, but not a ton, and they're more like vibes, and that's helpful, but it's not everything. If you just like made every manager disappear in the Premier League right now, everyone's gone, no one exists, and then you clone, let's say like I don't know, 20 Stews, and Stu manages every single Premier League team. Where how and you imagine it's the end of the season. Like where does Spurs finish just based on quality of squad alone? Assuming that every Stu clone is equally talented and smart with every team.
I'll open, shall I?
Go
I
for
think
it.
a
As the
You're the
Stew-led
manager,
manager. You're the
team
boss.
against other Stew-led teams finishes seventh. I think we've probably got the seventh best squad in the competition right now. We're lacking sparkling quality, but I think we've got enough to get us past. But a Stew-led team would be trying to attack and would be front foot football. And I think if you had 20 Thomas Franks, I think this team does not fit at all a Thomas Frank side. So I think you'd probably be looking at well, 14th, something like that.
who are the six clubs in your mind ahead of Stu's Tottenham Hotspur?
Um, Manchester City, Liverpool, that lot. Newcastle. How many more I've got left to go? Um, Aston Villa, maybe. And
We've got a
then
better
it's a
squad than
toss-up
Villa.
between.
We've got a better squad than Villa.
Villa have got a more solid squad than we have, and they've got some good players in there.
I'd put us sixth. I'd go one better. I'd agree with
You
you
go
on
one
that, but
better.
I'd put us above Villa. Yeah, that's where I'd place us. So I think we've got a really good squad. Assuming we've got everyone back from injury in this fantasy stew managed world. Yeah, fully fit squad. Everyone firing. Yeah, sixth.
What if
I
it's
would like
this?
to point out the league would be an absolute disaster if 20 clubs were managed by players by managers of my quality. It would be the worst Premier League in history. People go like Sunday League's better than this crap.
Peter, where would you place us?
This squad, um, anywhere between sixth and eighth.
It's kind of where
Well,
I'm
let's just say
too.
seventh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the thing that I think is interesting is like Palace, of course, is really clicking right now. Brighton's high, Sunderland's high. Like Bournemouth, you wouldn't say that they're a better squad than us. Like obviously they've got some strikers playing out of their minds right now, and Semenyo is fantastic, but like that's just, things are just clicking on a different level for them at the moment. But like, I don't know, Manchester United, like they're like
They got a
win
great squad.
if they do have a great squad. Like if you Stu, I don't know if you're a better manager than Amarim, but you know.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
No,
Title
but
winning
like
Amarim when he was at Sporting. No, I don't think I'd be a better manager than him.
oh, but like I would put them up there. I think that like there's this there's been this flattening of whatever fourth to 10th looks like in the Premier League for a while, and it's like really caught up this year, especially with the fluky results. But like, from fourth to 12th place right now in the league is 3 points difference. It's Villa at 21 points and a whole bunch of people, including us and Liverpool at 18, and then Newcastle at 15 points. So like there's again, we're part of the way through the season, but I do feel like we're back in that pre-Poch place where finishing fourth would be an overachievement. Finishing fifth would be an overachievement. Sorry, that was just like a little Ange callback again. But yeah, the I think if Frank, I guess this is to go back to Frank a bit, if he can get us in that place where we're at least as good as the level of our squad, then I think that's okay. I think that from a results standpoint, and then I think what the thing we're separating is also just how does it look? How does it feel when we play? Does it look like we have a plan, an approach going forward, a philosophy and identity? And maybe that comes, but that to me would be the thing that if at the end of the season we didn't have that, I'd be like, yeah, fire him into the sun.
I wonder if a better question to ask is is there a manager who could come in and do a better job? Or no? Well, I think there are many managers who could come in and do a better job, but is there a manager who could come in and get us higher than sixth with this current squad?
I think there's a few.
Right?
Ancelotti, Ancelotti would do a great job with our squad. Pep, Pep would find a way of making it work. I even there was a manager today who I briefly wondered whether he could tempt him out of retirement. Sir Alex Ferguson, would he be interested? How old is he? 70 something, late 70s.
No, no, I don't think that's an option.
That's
That's
definitely
like
not an option.
that's like Michael Jordan coming back and playing for the Wizards. It's just like just stay retired. What do
Yeah.
Okay. We're starting to hear about transfer rumours with the January window coming up. Probably the three names I've heard most frequently are Ivan Toney, Samu Agahawa, the FC Porto striker, and Semenyo from Bournemouth, who reportedly has £65 million release clause, which I'm not sure how we've heard about because release clauses are meant to be secret, aren't they? Um, what are the views on those? Are we keen for us to bring in any of those players in January?
Samu Agahara I've not seen enough of, so I really couldn't think. But I mean, I've seen little bits. He looks great against a defense that's retreating. Problem is, we let defenses get settled. He's a bit of a monster in the air. He's a big boy. He's a very big boy. Ivan Toney. I mean, if you're gonna have a Brentford style squad, why not get a Brentford style forward? I mean, he'll definitely fit with the way that Thomas Frank wants to play. Semenyo, I don't think would happen because Semenyo's already turned us down once this year. You know, we made a bid for him in the summer, and so did several other clubs, and he turned them all down to stay at Bournemouth. I don't think he'll want to move. I think he'll probably want to see the season and continue to have a great time and enjoy himself playing football and see where next summer takes him. I certainly don't see him going, hey, this great team spirit we've got at Bournemouth. Oh, just head off to Tottenham where everything's a fucking mess.
I love it.
God.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Pete, go for it.
I think Ivan Toney would be a stupid signing. He's what, 30?
29. He's 29.
29.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
He is
Um,
on £450,000 a week.
you ain't paying that.
yeah, no, you're not getting that. I think if we were to sign Ivan Toney, it would be quite possibly the biggest red flag of how bad our recruitment is, how bad our directors of football are. Just in general, it would be um, I can't think of the term now, but it would be pretty damning if we did sign him, just from a footballing perspective, right? Like it just goes against everything that we've been told that is changing about the infrastructure of the club and how they recruit and sort of do all these things. I don't know who Samu is. I've never heard of him. But that doesn't mean anything. I've not heard of many people. Semenyo, I think anyone who's already commented on that, like why would he come to Spurs? I also don't think like the inclusion of him in the squad would make us markedly better. I don't think our attack is somehow immediately going to actually appear out of nowhere. Um, I yeah, I mean, I've like I said, I've kept the club at arm's length this season, and I'm more of the mindset of just let's just see how it goes. But I don't know.
My
I also think someone told me that we're considering Marcus Rashford as well in January, and I'm just like, the fuck are we doing, man? Like, our recruitment appears to actually kind of suck, right? Because we're not actually building our squads for a style of play. We're building squads for the manager, and it's like, I I thought we weren't doing that anymore, but
I think
apparently now we are if we sign Ivan Toney.
the worst thing about Semenya would be blocking Odegaard. And I think that, we have rightful criticisms of the way Frank is introducing or integrating youth players, but like how Odegaard is still a child, right? Like, and he, hardly had a season before. So he's still one that I'm excited about actually developing on the left wing. And how many other teams have given younger players like more time to develop. So I would hate to see his progress blocked. If I had a magic wand and a whole bunch of money and I got to control the starting 11, I would get a different striker that, Solanke can do that hold up play. And if we're going to hit long balls, we need someone who can, like Solanke can actually win an aerial. I think Richarlison's incredible at first time finishes darting into the box, but like just gets pushed around all the time, begging for fouls, and that's just frustrating when he's like our primary outball to progress it. So I'd rather have like a second physical striker that we could swap in with Solanke being dead, I guess, for a while, and then I don't know, maybe a ball playing six just for, in my dream, someone who could. I actually will say Pauline has been pretty good at like when he actually hits a pass, it's been okay. Like I've been impressed by that. So that to me feels different, but just the Pauline Bentancur thing. If we could just get a ball playing midfielder in there, that would just make my heart happy.
On
Stuart?
Paulinho, I do think we need to recognise he has had the two best assists this season. He got the assist for the Van de Ven goal, and he also got the assist for the Richarlison goal against Arsenal. I mean, he's an assist monster.
There you go. And
Yeah.
and with Paratici coming back into the fold, we are now, of course, linked with every player who's having a bad time at Juventus. So Jonathan David and Dusan Vlahovic are both being rumoured. I feel like we've been linked with Vlahovic before, and it's never happened. Um, I don't really know a massive amount about either of them. I know we've been linked with Jonathan David in the past, and from what I've seen, he looks good. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's like a quick striker, like a running through the lines striker. And we don't really play to that strength. Vlahovic, more of a target man, might be a better fit. Any views on those? Or anyone else at Juventus for that matter?
Jonathan David was excellent at Lille. But the one time I saw him play against an English defence when he was playing against Aston Villa, he was absolutely anonymous. So I don't think it would be a great fit for us. I mean, he's gone to Juventus and had a horrible, horrible start. So, I'm not really sure we want to be going and picking up someone who will be on big wages after a free transfer move to come. Hey, come on over. You'll make things better, won't you?
None of these players that we're linked to are maybe outside of Semenya, which I'm not completely sold on either, right? But like none of these players excite me. None of these players are going to actually like put us over the line in any sense. Like why are we? And I get that a lot of elite players are probably not going to look at us and go like, "Yeah, I'm going to go there." Like why would they? There's no incentive. We're a fucking basket case of a club.
I think they would make sense as signings if we were selling players. If I was confident we were selling players to go along with it, so that incremental upgrading of a squad, like Arsenal have done, right? So they had Kivior, good player. They upgraded him to Hincapie, right? If we were saying Richarlison was going and Vlahovic was coming in, like it's not night and day. It's not gonna progress us massively, but it's that incremental improvement. And if we make those multiple incremental improvements over time, I think that's how you get better. So as I said earlier, I just don't think we've got it in us to do that kind of thing. I don't think we're ruthless enough, and I don't think we're as good enough as we should be at selling in order to achieve that.
I think it's a great point. I don't think we're ruthless enough to get rid of the players that aren't doing us any good. I don't see that
Still got
changing
Basuma.
anytime soon.
Basuma's still
Yeah.
at the club. He should have gone in summer.
I completely
We'll
forgot
lose him on
he
a free
was in the
transfer now.
squad.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you look at our attacking players right now, I count 10 striker attacking midfielder players and Odegaard, Tell, Reniko Mwani, Brennan Johnson, Xavi, Richie, Dom, Kudus, Madison, if I didn't say him already, Kulusevski. That's not counting Bergvall and Sar, and not counting Dane Scarlett. So like I know I'm blending a lot of positions right there, but like to the point about selling players, it's like, all right, yeah, like we need to be moving some of these people on. I think that also speaks to like the poor planning from the summer, which obviously, we were just like scrambling at the end. Like, here, have a Xavi Simons who I think will be great, but sort of like a last minute thing. Have a Randall Colomwani. Like, sure, I may eventually. I guess he's going to be fine on loan, but like, what is this? I feel like there's a lot of players like that in the Juventus list. Obviously, getting Kulusevski and Bentancur that one Conte year was fantastic. He's the reason, et cetera, et cetera. But the only players that I think we should be getting from Juventus are Timothy Weah and Weston McKennie, and go full American Tottenham. Just kidding.
Lyson Bremner's still there, isn't he? We take him. Kenan Yildiz. I'd
And then,
take
and then
Kenan
that's
Yildiz
when
in a
Poch comes
heartbeat.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross. Get
I
Jesse.
think,
Go
I'll be
ahead.
honest, I just don't think we're making enough of the players we've got. We've spent big money on some of these players. Tell is a good player who's improving. Showed against Leeds that, what he can do. He'll he's got a better touch than Richarlison. I mean, Richarlison was basically a ghost against Manchester United, apart from his goal. And when I say a ghost, I mean the ball literally phased through him at one point. So, what are you going to do? Randall Colomwani is a very good player, and when he came on against Monaco, he was probably the best player on the pitch, and we've seen that in other games as well. He will do absolutely fine. I really don't think striker is our issue. I think left wing is our issue. Kenan
You,
Yildiz. I'll say it again.
Paratici might be able
you,
to pull some strings.
Stu, do you think left winger is more of an issue at the moment than, I don't know, a playmaker?
I think if you get a decent left winger who adds some balance, and we can then progress the ball further up the pitch and have some different options and just punt the ball to Kudus, yeah, I think it makes a massive difference. I mean, we've got a star-shaped hole over on the left. I like Odegaard. I just think Odegaard's better on the right. Kulusevski's coming back. But he plays centre and he plays right. Who have we got who's an absolute star and is going to be a game changer for us? Who plays primarily from the left? Xavi's great, but I think he's a 10 or an 8.
What I would add to that is I agree. I think our problem is kind of down the left. I'm not sure it's the left wing. What I would like, and if I was targeting any kind of profile of player, I'd like a left back version of Pedro Porro. So we can have like
Everyone
a
wants a left
Porro.
back version of Pedro Porro.
Well,
That's
kind
an
of, kind
80
of like a
million
Luca
pound
Dino,
player.
not Luca Dino, but a Luca Dino, right? So someone who can deliver across, good on the ball, like no slouch defensively, but then I'm kind of looking at them in pairs, right? You've got Porro, who's good on the ball, good at delivery, and you've got Spence who can run with the ball. And then you'd have the same on the other side in Udogi, who can run with the ball and get forward, and someone who can deliver. That way we're kind of balanced on both sides of the pitch. So yeah, kind of agree. I think the left side is kind of the problem, but I wouldn't solve it with a left winger necessarily.
I think when we've played Xavi, Odegaard, and Udogi together, that's the best we've looked this season because there's balance in the side.
Mm.
And I still think Odegaard's better on the right. So if I could find someone to upgrade on him, I'd do it.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, we're going to move on from transfers. Because time's getting on, and I do want us to talk a little bit about Blue Sky and social media. That's been a grim place over the last month, but I know we have identified some Skeets of the month and things we want to call out from there. Before we get to those, general thoughts on the social media Spurs social media landscape at the moment.
I think there's a few things going on. I think that we're having this weird data fight right now, this weird like XG, like, even when things are like okay this season, it's like, well, it looks bad. I think that like what's really happening is people are just trusting how it looks and how it feels to watch us. And you can say whatever stat you want, but if it looks like shit, and we're getting a result here and there, no one cares about XG. I'm like literally read the Liverpool data guy book, like believer, love it, think it's really smart. And yeah, there's this weird data versus just like, I don't know, maybe we need more passion kind of a thing going on right now. So I don't have anything smart to say about that. Just that the mood is bad because the results are bad. If the results get better, the mood will improve. And then as the results are bad, we're either like looking for a scapegoat, someone's trying to look for something positive, guilty sometimes, and then everyone's tearing into that person like, fuck you, it's bad. Just let us be sad. Don't try to give us a positive spin on this. So yeah, it's a dark place for a blue sky.
I think the stats side of things is quite interesting. I'd like a good stat every so often. But I also like the eye test. And I think for the first time in quite some time, the two are basically at the same level. The stats tell us we're shit, and just watching the football tells us we're shit. So, yeah, great, fantastic. It works out for everybody. Everyone's happy in being miserable.
I think towards the start of the month, there was this real clash between the people who wanted to still be positive about Thomas Frank and the people who relying heavily on the data saying, no, this is bad and this is going to go wrong. And here is why it's going to go wrong. And here's the data to back it up. And those people will know, no, we're fourth in the league. We're fine. The results are all that matters. Everything's going to be great. Frank's the man. And I think they've kind of equalized now. I think there was that big rejection of data, but as those chickens have kind of come home to roost, it's it's not really such a position of the data guys being like, yeah, we got it right, we won this one because everyone's so miserable. Anyway, it was like one of those things like we don't want to be right about this. Um, but yeah, I just kind of feel as soon as things turn around, if we win against Fulham, it'll go back to the yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it, data guys. We're so back, and it like we won't be back, will we? Um, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of maybe wish I could live in that moment a little bit more, but I can't. I'm becoming a data guy.
Come to the dark side.
I haven't really been on Blue Sky all that much in the last week or so, probably even more.
He's just been fishing.
Yeah, I've opted to go fly fishing instead of watching whatever and having the same sort of discussions over and over again. But yeah, I mean, I think Doug is right. Like when we play well and we win, the mood's going to be better. But when we play like dog shit and we lose, it's not going to be great. Um, and not to sort of pick a already dead horse, but uh, I don't see it getting. I'm just looking at the schedule here, and I don't see it looking. I don't know where we're going to get a lot of joy and positivity over the next 6 to 7 weeks or more, if I'm being completely honest, right? PSG away tomorrow, Fulham at home, Newcastle away, Brentford at home, Slavia Prague at home, Forest away, Liverpool at home, Palace away, Brentford away. Shit, I didn't realize we were playing Brentford so close to each other again.
Yeah.
Sunderland at home, Bournemouth away. That's January 7th. And then we have West Ham at home on January 17th. In theory, we might not win until West Ham.
Counterpoint,
Slavia. We'll
if
beat Slavia.
results go a certain way and we win on Saturday against Fulham, we're in fourth place.
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane? Like that's how stupid this season is. That like and it's
Yeah,
not
but
like
the
the
season doesn't
craziest.
finish.
No, but I'm just saying, like, we have the correct criticism of how we're performing. I think my favorite sort of view on this is like I'd rather be in fourth in the league and be like undeserving of it than be 15th in the league and be deserving fourth, which I feel like was kind of the previous seasons where like we're actually so much better than this. If we just, and now we're like, I don't know how we're here. I'll take the points we have.
Which I will take at the end of the season. But
Right.
now it means nothing. It means nothing now.
Yeah.
The whole table position and results at the moment, and it being the only thing that matters is a total fallacy, and I can't buy into that. If that was the case at the end of the season, yeah, absolutely, I'll bite your hand off for an undeserving fourth place,
100%.
but
I
we're
mean,
not
the
going to get there.
reality is we
Yeah.
suck at home. Yet we still somehow suck at home. Yeah, and I think just pointing to the table, people pointing to the table, I think after the 10th or 11th game, they're like, but see, look how high up the table we are. I'm like, that's not the win that you think it is because it's not the end of the season. It doesn't matter. That's going to change. We all know that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've just been a Debbie Downer this whole stuff, but uh, I think that just stems from the fact that like I don't see how anything's going to change in the near future. And if we're relying on getting reinforcements in January, like that's not a good sign either. Like we're not that this squad is not that bad, yet
I think
we
we're
are bad.
helped by I think we're helped by pretty much every team apart from Arsenal and Wolves being really generally middle of the road. Hal put up an article from the transfer flow on Blue Sky, and he said everyone is mid apart from Arsenal, who are good, and Wolves, who are bad. I mean, that's a comfort. No, his words, not mine. I don't find it a comfort. In a season that's this average, I'd really like us to be doing better, if that would be okay with you. Just me.
Hmm. There's an opportunity there, right? If everyone's bad, why can't we be the team that are good?
Yeah.
Leicester did it that one season, and then
Instead, it's
several times I
Sunderland.
brought up Leicester. Yeah, yeah,
I
absolutely
heard
right.
I heard Joe Hart on the Monday Night Club, and he was saying, "Oh, but you can't go toe to toe with Arsenal. You can't try and face them up and stuff." He was like, "Sunderland did it, but you could generally kind of." It's like, well, if fucking Sunderland can do it, why can't we? Ah,
Not,
really
not
pissed
to,
me off. That thing.
I'm not going to nominate myself for Skeet of the month, but I did say before that, but before the game, the only way we stood any chance of getting anything out of that North London derby was to take it to them, keep the ball in their half as much as possible, and not play into their game. and we did the exact opposite of that.
I really liked your Skeet when we went 1-0 down, and you were like, "Can we at least we can stop playing for 0-0 now?" Like, yeah, that's about right.
But I think Owen, therein sort of lies the problem, right? Like, and this has already been brought up this earlier, but like Frank doesn't set us up to actually go at anyone. He sets us up in preparation of how he expects the opposition to play. So yeah, it would be great if he had a plan to just go after our opponents, but it does not seem like he does because he's had 20 games to do that. And I don't know, maybe it's a recency bias thing, but I can't think of a game where I'm like, oh, it looks like he's actually going for it, right? Because it's like, what's our baseline? The the least that we expect is to draw, or no? Is that what I'm trying to say? I don't know. Anyways,
Well, Peter, you reminded me of my Skeet of the month, which is from Reno Wallabout, which is tactical
oh,
flexibility is great for when you're getting bent over, which I just appreciate a lot.
That's great.
Uh,
Thank
fantastic.
Oh,
Stu,
dear me.
you're skating a month. Funny, you had one.
I'm kind of torn between two, one of which really buys into my absolute positive of the month, which is the women's team. The women's team playing very, very well. I've been enjoying
Yeah.
watching them.
you.
I have not sat down and watched women's games of football on a regular basis before this season, but we're doing very well and we've got some good players. And get your checkbook out and pay some of those ladies more. Olivia Holt needs to be earning more than what, £1,200 a week. That
She's
is,
incredible.
yeah, she's really good.
Those weekly wages, and again, I don't know
In
how
London,
accurate those are, but like it's bizarre. Like, why does her name escape me? The Japanese center back that we signed over the summer. She's on like 800, 900 pounds a week. I'm like, how do you pay your rent?
£945 a week or something, yeah. Oh,
I'm
she's
like,
probably living in Club Dig somewhere, like along with Academy kids. Yeah,
it's
but no,
insane.
the post was from Hannah, who I actually talked to on CADS, and she said a story I've been working on for the past few months about why women's football is so important to queer people is published. I really love writing this, and it's a story that's very close to my heart. I would love it if you kind folks would give it a read. So I am going to not only show the Skeet, but I'm going to put a link as well to it. I think it's a very, very good read. I think it encourages more integration into our club, which is definitely necessary because as I remember, there was a little thing recently which didn't kind of help very much. But I would love to see the women's game take off and be a little bit more respected because there are some really good players now.
Yep, I'll second that. I read Hannah's article today, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I loved the insight into the relationship between women's football and the queer community. I thought that was absolutely fascinating to get some insight on that. And yeah, really great read. You could tell when someone really cares when they're
Yeah.
writing about something, and you really got that from that. And Doug, I loved your response to it as well.
Yeah.
Your reply was really heartwarming as well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like I think as an American, we've had an incredible women's team for a while, and like one of my formative Mm, one of my formative soccer memories is the women's team winning the World Cup and Brandy Chastain's celebration, but not for that reason. Anyway, my point was actually that I've got this house full of my like daughters, and I'm just like it's so exciting that like they're gonna see these like women's teams, and they're badass. These like I'm watching more of these games now, and I'm like, this is so exciting, and this is fantastic. And you know what? They don't roll around and dive every time they get touched. They don't like complain. They're like bleeding, and they're not, time wasting in the same way. Like it's it's in some ways it's better of a watch, and yeah, I think that's really cool. That's just going to be a more normal thing in the future.
I think that's a really lovely note to wrap up on. after all our negativity and venom for the men's side. I think that's a really lovely way to wrap things up. So I will just say thank you to everyone for listening today. You can find all of us, as you may expect, on Bluesky. You can find the podcast at yaps-podcast. You can find me at Own Brand. Doug, where can they find you?
Doug Keith without any of the vowels, I guess.
No vowels, no vowels at all. Peter
Uh, thepeterha.com on Blue Sky.
and Stu.
Yeah, Stu W78. Search there, you'll find me.
Awesome. So you can find us all there and tell us how much you disagree with everything we have said on record today. So it leaves me with one final thing to say. And I must say, hark, dear listener, like the angel Gabriel, I come to bring you tidings of great joy. Our December episode is going to be the first annual YAPS holiday special. Expect plenty of festive cheer from Jingle Bells to Jingle Bale. We'll be decking the halls like the old White Hart Lane at full voice and roasting chestnuts hotter than a shirtless Jalpalina. We'll be wrapping up this year with more sparkle than the Europa League trophy. So hang your away kit socks by the chimney and join us for a Spursmas celebration sure to warm even the chilliest North London night. We will see you then for a very lily white Christmas. Come on, you Spurs.